Hello everyone and welcome back to Flo's Corner. So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to master making mini donuts using a donut maker. So first we are going to start out with our ingredients. You're going to need flour, sugar, milk, vanilla extract, baking powder, oil, eggs, and some type of oil spray, or you can use some butter. And the star of your show is going to be your donut maker. This is the Cucina Pro that I purchased at Amazon. I will link it in the description box down below. I have another video on my channel about how to use the donut maker, but that's when I was using it for the first time, and I have mastered it since then. Feel free to give that video a look. I'll link it right here at the top right corner of this video. I have created my own recipe to make these donuts super delicious, and all the measurements will be in the description box down below. So first we're going to start off with 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I like to separate my dry ingredients from my wet ingredients before I combine them both together. So you're just going to take a bowl and you're going to place your flour into the bowl. Now you're going to add 1/2 cup of sugar on top of the flour, followed by 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder. I noticed that when I use the baking powder, it definitely gives me that rise of the mini donuts that you want. Take a fork or a whisk and mix in your dry ingredients. You are more than welcome to use salt in your dry ingredients as well. I personally don't. Now we're going to start on our wet ingredients. You're going to crack 2 large eggs and place them into a bowl of your choice. I like to scramble the eggs for a few seconds. I just feel that this gives me a better incorporation of the eggs when we're placing them into the dry ingredients. Now you're going to add 1/2 cup of oil, any oil of your choice. I'm using vegetable oil, but you're more than welcome to use canola or even corn oil if you have that as well. Then you're going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, or any extract you actually want your donuts to taste like would be just fine. Then you're going to add 3/4 cups of milk. I am going to be using my 1/4 cup and my 1/4 cup because I just couldn't find my 3/4 cups of measuring cup. It was somewhere in the kitchen somewhere and I just couldn't find it. So 1/2 and 1/4 makes up the same measurement. So once all of your wet ingredients is incorporated, now you're going to give it a good stir, and then we're going to add the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. I like to stir while I'm adding in the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients, just so that everything is incorporated and all of the flour and everything is now wet. So the funny thing about it is that I was literally stirring with my fork instead of using my whisk, and it actually took me a couple of seconds to get it like, hey, use your whisk instead of the fork. But you guys will see I will transfer from using the fork to using my whisk. But all you pretty much do is just really stirring in to get that flour incorporated as much as you can. And voila, we are now using the whisk. So just keep stirring and keep stirring, and it should give you a really nice liquidy kind of consistency. Don't worry, because we're going to thicken this mixture up. You want a thicker consistency versus very liquidy. So this is a Drizzle bottle that I purchased at my local Walmart. It's only for like $1, and I pretty much cut the hole a little bit bigger so the mixture can come out a little bit more faster. You're more than welcome to purchase a more larger bottle, or you can buy like the ketchup or mustard bottles. Those will help as well. So this is a crucial step that I feel that you should do when you are making your mini donuts, and that is to take a funnel, place it into the bottle, and then add a strainer on top. And this is just to drain all of the chunks of flour that did not get incorporated. This is very crucial when it comes to making these donuts, because when you have those chunks, it tends to get caught up in the spout when you are trying to fill in the donut cavities of your donut maker. And I learned this down the line that this was a better method. So this was definitely trial and error, because every time I was making the mixture and things, it would kind of just get stopped at the top of the spout. And obviously you guys know that is because there was little chunks of flour and things like that that would find its way into the mixture, which was making it a little bit more harder to squeeze out. And you don't want to squeeze so much because, you know, those bottles are very flimsy and they can bust open and all kinds of things. So once this bottle is full, then I'm going to do the same thing and just place it into a measuring cup. And as I finish out the batter from the spout bottle, I am going to keep pouring it in from the measuring bottle back into the spout bottle, if you catch my drift. So the key to thickening up your mixture is to place it in the refrigerator. So once we are going to start heating up our donut maker, I like to place these mixtures into the refrigerator so that they can thicken up. So now we are going to preheat our donut maker. The key to the Cucina Pro is that when you plug it in, it's going to light up the red light at the top. What you want to do is to make sure that the green light lights up, and that's how you know it is ready to go. So now that the light is on, you now are ready to start using your donut maker. All donut makers may not be the same with how the lighting goes, or some may not have lighting, I'm not sure, but this is how the Cucina Pro works. Now you're going to take your Pam spray or vegetable oil spray, and you are going to spray your donut cavities thoroughly all around. This one, you're seeing a lot of spray, smoke, and everything is because I purchased this one at Dollar Tree, and this one just comes out like that. I have no idea why, but you get it. Now you're going to take your mixture out of the refrigerator. You're going to see that it has thickened up tremendously, which is amazing because the more liquidy it is, the more it just kind of just flies everywhere, and you just don't want to make a big mess. So pretty much to put the mixture into your donut maker is fairly simple. You're just going to go around and around until all of the donut cavity is filled to the top. Try not to overfill where it's actually spilling out, because then you don't get so much of the prettier, neater look of the donuts like you would if you overfill the cavity. If you underfill the cavity, then you won't get so much of a big rise on your donuts, which will make it not look so uniform to the other donuts. So the baking part is fairly simple. You are going to let the donut maker do its job, which is pretty much you're going to place the top down and let it bake. So with the Cucina Pro, normally the green light is going to go off, which shows that it is baking. Just a quick side note, this is just how much the batter has made. When I was placing them into the donut cavity, I'm just going to take the measuring cup and refill this bottle. But once the green light comes back on, then that is the go to turn them. You don't need to spray again until they are completely finished and you're ready to put in a new batch. So you only spray them one time when they are cooking. Here, I just like to take a skewer and just turn them. With donut makers, you're going to notice that the bottom is the main baking, browning part of the whole entire donut maker. So when you're turning them, you're pretty much turning them so that the other side can start to brown and cook just as much as the top part. Another tip I have is when you are piercing the skewer through the donuts, I like to pierce through the middle so that you are not taking away the uniform look of the donuts. So when you first place your batter into the donut maker, it takes about 1 to 1.5 minutes before it starts to brown, and then you will turn it over and then it will cook again for another 1 to 1.5 minutes. So in total, about 2 to 3 minutes is normally the full cooking time normally. I notice if you leave it in longer, it will brown a whole lot. And with trial and error, I noticed the more browner it is, the more tough the donut actually becomes. I actually like mine to look like this, which is a little bit of light and some dark parts of it. It gives a really nice soft type of donut that is very pleasant to eat. They are light and airy, very delicious. And here I'm just going to place them onto a plate and now get ready for another batch of your donuts. I forgot to mention, while your first batch was cooking, once you refill your mixture bottle, then all you're going to do is place that back into the refrigerator, because that just helps it stay thick while they are still cooking in the donut maker. And then every time you are finished, you're just going to take out your spout bottle, fill up the donut cavity hose, and then when you're not using your mixture, then you're going to put it back into the refrigerator. This is just a very good trick that I have found that had worked for me. It just works best when your mixture is on a thicker consistency versus too thin. I noticed that when cooking with the donut maker, you don't want such a runny batter. Like, honestly, it just doesn't come out the same. I don't feel like they rise the same. I don't feel like they even taste the same when the batter is too runny. And also tweak the recipe. I know these donut makers come with their own recipe, but sometimes it doesn't taste all that great. The first time I've ever tried it, it just tasted like pancakes, and I just didn't really care for that. I love pancakes, but I just don't want my donut tasting like pancakes, if you catch my drift. Here I'm just showing you what they look like when the light hasn't came on, and you can see that even though they puffed up, they haven't browned. So these are still not ready to come out. I'm just going to wait till the light comes on, and here they are. You can see that now it's time to turn them. Now, I don't know if it's my donut maker in particular, but the middle donut just takes a little bit longer to brown versus the other one. So I do sometimes move them around. When the other ones are completely brown, I like to move the center one to one of the cavities on the outer edge to brown, get the browning as it should, because I don't know, I guess maybe it's just my donut maker. The center one always just kind of stays a little bit lighter than the rest. So the technique for using a donut maker is fairly simple. It honestly doesn't take that much to kind of master it and get it down pat. I literally had a love-hate relationship with this donut maker. Like, I was trying so many different things and trying to master a lot of different techniques, and I literally just had to come into my own, and I feel like I finally got it down pat. These donuts are very different. They're not going to taste like a yeast donut, and they're not going to taste like a cake donut. They're just like in between the middle, but they're actually very good when you have a very good recipe. Plus, they are super adorable when you are putting them onto a dessert table or presenting them to other people. Definitely like this video if you would like to see how I make chocolate donuts and other flavors. So in total, this recipe made a batch of 35 mini donuts. So that means that I baked them 5 different times because there's 7 cavities in all, and it made 35 mini donuts. So here you can see how small they really are. They are super adorable, super cute. They are fluffy. They are chubby. Like, I just love the way these little mini donuts just look and came out. So now is the fun part. We are going to get to the decorating part. Now, you're more than welcome to use any type of dipping, whether glaze, icing, chocolate, however. I use some white chocolate, and then the pink is hot pink candy wafers. So you just wanted to melt your chocolate. You don't need to use a thinner. If you want to use a thinner, that's up to you. I like my chocolate to be a little bit more on the thicker side so that it is not running off of the donut. So the first method of dipping is just pretty much taking the donut and dipping it straight into the chocolate. I like to have a skewer right next to me because of the donut hole part. It kind of just goes around it. So you pretty much want to break up that bubble. The second method is to take a skewer onto the side of the donut, pierce the donut, and then you're going to dip the donut into the chocolate. Now, it is up to you if you want to dip your full donut and have it full of chocolate, like all coverage all around the donut. It's pretty much up to you, but obviously you guys know donuts are normally dipped just halfway. So either method can give you the clean, uniform look. Here you can see that it doesn't run down because your chocolate is thick enough. Like I said, you're more than welcome to use glaze as well. And pretty much you're just going to do this for all of the donuts. I pretty much am doing just making these for me and my children to consume. So I don't mind if it's just going down and not looking all uniform or anything like that. If you're making this for someone else or for like a customer or anything like that, then you're more than welcome to place them in, pierce all of the donuts with skewers so you can dip them easily like that. So it's just definitely a personal preference. But the dipping process for the donuts is fairly simple. You honestly don't need so much technique. All the biggest main thing is, like I said, if you're making this for a customer or to place on a dessert table, you just want to have it uniform. But even if you get some glaze or chocolate running down the side, it's not really honestly a big deal. So adding toppings on top of your glaze or your chocolate is fairly simple as well. Pretty much you're just going to dip your donut, shake off the excess, pop the little bubble in the middle, and then you're just going to add your toppings on top of that. It's kind of like the way you make cake pops or cakesicles and things like that. You just want to add your toppings while the chocolate is still wet so that the toppings can actually stick on. Here, I'm just adding some sanding sugar. I do apologize. I didn't notice that my hand is actually just covering the camera 100% during the shaking the sanding sugar on there, but you guys can pretty much see what I was talking about. You just shake it on to the wet chocolate and fairly simple. That's it. And I'm going to do the same with the white chocolate as well. I'm going to dip it. I'm going to shake off the excess, pop the little bubble, and then I'm going to shake some white sanding sugar onto the donut. For the pink ones, I use pink sanding sugar, and for the white ones, I use white sanding sugar. The decorating possibilities are so endless. You can add fondant, you can add chocolate, you can add sprinkles, sanding sugar, you can add anything that you want on the top of your donuts. You can make any glaze, you can turn it into any color, you can use any type of chocolate, you can turn your chocolate into any color. The possibilities are, like I said, just completely endless. You can eat them like they are right out of the donut maker. You can just add sugar to have them as sugar donuts. You can make them into glazed donuts. The possibilities are endless. But here they are all finished. They taste absolutely delicious. They look super, super, super cute. They fit literally in the palm of your hand. These are really good if you have small children and you don't want them to eat too much of a high snack, sweet snack, and they're just really small and mini. And don't things just look even more cuter and adorable when they're smaller? Or maybe that's just my train of thought. I put some chocolate into some flower molds that I had, and that's what you see right there. Those are made of chocolate. The marble donuts, I just added the pink into the white and just dip some donuts like that to give it a marble look. And that was pretty much it. I really honestly hope that I have helped anyone who is interested in making mini donuts using a donut maker. Please give this video a like and please subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section down below. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.